Welcome back. We are an hour and a half away from polls in Ontario closing, and we have you covered right across the province tonight.
We're joined live now by former Ontario Liberal Premier David Peterson. Peterson served as provincial premier for 5 years between 1985 and 1990, and he was the last premier to trigger an early election. The gamble did not pay off for him, but Doug Ford is hoping for a different outcome tonight. We're just waiting to get David Peterson on the line. For now, I'll throw it over to you, Lena.
Michelle, thanks so much. We're going to send it over to CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris, who is hanging out at PC Party headquarters. Siobhan.
Hello, I am here with Brian Lilly, columnist for the Toronto Sun and Bell Media contributor. Brian, what's the most exciting race you have your eye on tonight?
Kind of the west end of...
This is a CTV News special presentation.
It is 9 o'clock and polls are now closed across all of Ontario.
The political landscape in this province is about to take shape.
And we'll be with you all night to watch it unfold.
This is CTV Ontario Election 2025.
We'll do whatever it takes to protect Ontario.
We fight for every single job.
No new taxes and no tax increases.
We think Ontario needs and deserves more green voices at Queen's Park.
I hope they do whatever they say they're going to be doing.
People are polarized.
I'm just concerned that Canadians get help when they need it.
Canada's been very bad to us on trade, but now Canada's going to have to start paying up.
We need a mandate from the people to fight against Donald Trump's tariffs.
The Ford government is wasting so much money.
Is your life more affordable today than it was before Doug Ford? And clearly the answer to that is no.
Doug Ford has quit his job, and Bonnie Crombie has quit the fight.
Legislature dissolved less than 1 month ago, kicking off a frigid February campaign. Tonight we'll find out if this unusual timing has paid off for the Progressive Conservatives and whether their political opponents can make any gains.
And we are off from CTV News headquarters in Toronto and all across Ontario.
Party leaders have been battling each other as well as the bitter cold, all fighting for your vote. Good evening, I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Lena Latifat. Whether you're watching, listening, or streaming, this is the place to be. Results, reaction, along with exclusive insights and data you won't find anywhere else.
We have a full team here in studio. CTV's chief political correspondent Vashi Kapelos is here alongside Sabrina Nanji, Bill Carroll, and John Moore. They're going to be following the key races and breaking down everything as the results come in. And those numbers are going to appear on the bottom of your screen. And if history is our guide, we can expect first results just moments from now.
Yeah, could be very quick. We also have journalists at all the party headquarters and right across the province, tracking all the results as they come in and figuring out what those results mean for you and your family. So let's see and set the stage for what's to come. Nick Dixon is at our power board helping us understand the results as they come in tonight. Nick, there is a lot to watch for.
There is indeed. Here's the key number you're looking for. It's the race to 63. That is majority territory. That is what's required for majority government. If you win 63 seats, one of those parties, you are forming the next government as a majority government. Let's take a look right now at the seat projections coming in from the CTV decision desk here based on polling data and, of course, past performance here. So you can see right now, Doug Ford's PC's minimum 58. That's only 5 away from majority territory right now. The maximum at this point is 87, but as your votes are counted and as these ridings tighten up a little bit, these numbers could shift a little. Here's the interesting thing. It looks very much like Doug Ford's on his way to a win. The Liberals at a 12 minimum right now. That is what's required for full party status at Queen's Park. That's the minimum at this point right now. 36 is the maximum. It's going to be very close at this point between the New Democrats, 14, 34. This could tighten up as well. Will both parties maintain full party status? Very much looking like Doug Ford is on his way to a majority win potentially, although it could be a minimum, and then we could see what happens for the second and third place. Again, this is all what they're looking for, and as those votes come in, Michelle and Lena, this is the number to watch.
Oh, we will be watching. And now that the polls have closed, guess what? The results are starting to roll in. Let's take a look at the first results of this election night in Davenport. This is NDP leader Marit Stiles riding. She is expected to win her seat there tonight. And Paulo Pereira hoping to perhaps turn the riding orange. Nick Pavlog for the PC party.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe riding for the NDP. This is a pretty safe riding for the Greens. We're taking a look at Guelph now, where, no surprise, Mike Schreiner has the lead there. He has about 548 votes. Robert Cool in second place, but it's looking good for the Greens there.
Eglinton Lawrence is one to watch. You'll notice no incumbent here. Michelle Cooper for the PCs, Vince Gasparo for the Liberals, Leah Tyso. It's still early. We got one of 76 polls reporting a slight lead for the PCs there.
Don Valley North, former Toronto City Councillor Jonathan Sow has the lead here for the Liberals. Only one poll reporting those so early. Vincent Key, you may remember him. He's running as an independent. He was kicked out of the PC caucus for allegations of Chinese election interference. We'll keep a close eye on that.
Toronto Centre, Kristen Wong-Tam, a former councillor, is the NDP incumbent. This is definitely an orange riding. We'll have to wait and see how things play out as more polls roll in.
Okay, let's take a look at Willowdale. Bit of a political rematch here. The incumbent, PC's Stan Show, in second place right now. Paul Segale certainly looking for a comeback. He ran in this riding before. He does appear to have the lead.
Over to Don Valley East, Adil Shamji vying for a second term. He is from the medical field, holding the riding for the Liberals. Roger Gingrich hoping to perhaps turn it blue. And stand by. Guess what? We're hearing from the CTV News decision desk that a call is imminent. This campaign of winter 2025 about to reach its culmination.
That was quick. Doug Ford and the Progressive Conservatives sparking an early election, banking on good polling and the threat of U.S. tariffs. His political opponents saying the whole thing was unnecessary. So, did Doug Ford's gamble pay off? We are about to find out.
Breaking news, the CTV News decision desk is already declaring a PC win.
Doug Ford gets a third straight mandate. Let's go straight to PC party headquarters. Our Siobhan Morris is standing by there. Siobhan.
Very early.
Vashi, stand by.
You keep going, yeah.
Because
here
guess
we
what?
go.
Our CTV decision desk is about to make yet another call. Let's find out what it is. Take a look.
Breaking news, CTV News is declaring a PC majority. Doug Ford not only gets a third straight mandate, he gets another majority. We're going to take you back to PC party headquarters. Siobhan Morris following the latest reactions. And there is Doug Ford and his family reacting to these results. Siobhan.
You're going to be punished for calling it early is actually pretty overrated. And his timing was perfect. This story out of the United States and tariffs started to break. He'd already positioned himself as Captain Canada. Incumbency is always powerful, but this is unprecedented. To have been the de facto prime minister in the middle of this election, I feel actually bad for anyone who had to go up against him because they never had a chance. It was always all about him.
John, how significant a moment is this for Doug Ford?
Oh, very significant. I mean, first of all, Sabrina's been observing tonight, we have the whole business of 3 back-to-back majorities and growing his caucus size in all likelihood today. But I was found one of the compelling things he said on the campaign trail was that he will, as a result of being elected today, still be the premier when Donald Trump leaves office. And I think a lot of people sort of, you know, that's a very comforting thought that Donald Trump, hopefully he leaves office.
If in fact that does happen,
yeah. But Donald Trump's out of office and we survived the maelstrom.
Yeah, Sabrina, like you had said at the outset of this program tonight, and of course our colleagues, it does appear to be a race for second place right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Elections Ontario live results coming in, and it seems like the NDP and the Liberals might be able to pull off recognized status, which is going to be a huge deal for the Liberals in particular. Obviously, they've been...
Thank you, Beatrice. Wow, the Ford family has really become a political dynasty. This is quite something. 3 consecutive majority governments.
Yeah. I keep saying it, Michelle and Lena, but like, we got to take a beat, give the man his moment, right? Like this, we don't know the size of the majority, but right now in this political moment, in this country, this is, a big achievement, certainly, and sets up an interesting 4 years ahead. I'm here with John Moore from Moore in the Morning on News Talk 1010, Bill Carroll from The Morning Rush with Bill Carroll on CFRA, and Sabrina Nanji, who is the founder of the Queen's Park Observer. John, I'll start with you. What did Doug Ford do right in this campaign?
Doug Ford was Doug Ford. That's all he needs to do. I think you can come up with a shopping list of complaints about the first 7 years, in particular the first 2 years, which were really, really rocky. But Ontarians like Doug Ford, and I think they look at this as almost a stewardship. And do we need to change the horse that we're on?
Let's set the stage now for what is to come. Nick Dixon is back at our power board now, helping us understand these results as they come in. They've been fascinating so far. Nick, what do you have for us?
They certainly have. And yes, again, so we have to mention PC majority for Doug Ford, so 4 more years of the Ford Conservatives in charge at Queen's Park and in Ontario. But we want to take you to some of the nail-biting ridings right now, some of the closest ridings in this province where there are really, in some cases, just a few votes between some of the candidates here. So we're going to start to drill into this right now. So here's what we're showing you. Leading and elected, in fact, at this point, you can see 79. That is exactly where the PCs left off at dissolution. 75. New Democrats down at 24. That would be a drop for them. And as you just saw there as well, the Liberals are up 5 right now to 13. 12 is what you need for minimum party to maintain a party status here. Independents down, and the Greens right on 2 right now. Now let's talk about the closest races at this point, because this is where things could get interesting. You've got people on the edge of your seat. Sault Ste. Marie up to the north here. Chris Scott and Lisa Van Allen. The lead is only 67 votes with 54 of 60 polls in. This one is going to go down to the 60th poll. Just take a look at those numbers. Let's move into the GTA right now. Greater Toronto area. Show you another really close riding in the 905 belt. That being Ajax, a little east of where we are tonight. Rob Cernajek from the Liberals only has a 70-vote lead over Patrice Barnes. She's the PC incumbent, hoping to bring out Team Blue in the final 11 ridings or so, 9, pardon me. Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas, a little west of Toronto tonight. John Demick for the PCs, trying for an upset here. He's got just over a 100-vote lead over the incumbent Sandy Shaw for the New Democrats here. So giving you a sense of just some of the close ridings. And in Mississauga, Aaron Mills, we've been watching Bonnie Crombie's riding closely, yes, as well. But the PC incumbent here, Sheriff Subaway, has an 83-vote lead over Kassir Dar of the Liberals. Again, this is a close one, about half the vote in there as well. So these ones are going to be an example of some of the ridings that are going to come down to really, it looks like the last several votes counted. Again, it's a PC majority. Is Doug Ford Doug Ford and the Conservatives on their way to 79 or more? We're going to find out, but there are, Lena, Michelle, some extremely close races out there.
Yeah. It is election night in Ontario. The results are rolling in, and the CTV decision desk is able to make yet another call.
All right, and stand by for those results. Here we go. And we're following breaking news now. The CTV News decision desk is declaring Marit Stiles and the NDP the official opposition in Ontario. The NDP gets another 4 years of holding Doug Ford and the PCs to account. This is a fascinating storyline. All the polls had Bonnie Crombie and the Liberals in second place, but we're now learning the NDP will be the official opposition once again. Let's go live to Patricia Bull at NDP headquarters for the latest reaction. Patricia.
Well, an election night in Ontario where it appears not a whole lot has changed. Certainly official opposition status for the NDP.
Broadcasting from the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee peoples, and since 1805, the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This is City News.
I'm asking the people of Ontario for their trust.
Premier Doug Ford confirms plans to call a snap election.
We shouldn't be in a campaign right now.
He quit his job as premier.
If you don't like something, change it.
Ford actually said that a bullet is aimed directly at the heart of the auto sector.
I'm talking about the most serious situation this country has ever seen.
Marit Stiles is going head-to-head with the Doug Ford Conservatives.
I will build a more tariff-proof Ontario.
The Ontario Liberal Party wants to make healthcare the key issue in this election.
I'm going to get you
a family doctor.
Ontario's main party leaders were out making their late appeal to voters.
We will build 2 million homes in the province of Ontario.
It's your vote.
I think a lot more people are now more engaged with politics.
People should go out and vote.
It's a must.
It's Election Day in Ontario, and City News is everywhere. Good evening and welcome to Election Night in Ontario. We will be bringing you the results as they come in. First, though, let's introduce you to all of our reporters who will be bringing you the full coverage this evening. We have our team live at the Main Leaders headquarters tonight. Mark McAllister is in Etobicoke with Doug Ford and the PCs. Afia Ba is in downtown Toronto with Marit Stiles and the NDP. Alan Carter is in Mississauga with Bonnie Crombie and the Liberals. And Brandon Rowe is in Guelph with Mike Schreiner and the Greens. And we are all around Toronto as well. Michelle Mackey and Melissa Nakavali are our roving reporters. Michelle is tracking polling stations, making sure the process is going smoothly for voters. And Melissa is visiting some of the most hotly contested ridings in this city. We'll tell you in a moment about some of the places you need to watch. And we also have Christina Howren tracking the results as they come in. Through the night, she will be bringing you some of the big winners and upsets across the province. But now, let's check in with Mark McAllister, who is live at the PC headquarters in Toronto, where, if the polling is bright, Ford is expecting a big win tonight. Mark. We're going down another thought path, and I want to hear more about that. But first, if you are just joining us, it is 9 o'clock, election night in Ontario. The polls, most of the polls are closing, and we're going to take you to a live shot of the four-party leader headquarters, where supporters are getting ready for the results to start rolling in. Welcome to City News. I'm Cynthia Mulligan. Let's get you caught up. Most polls in Ontario are closing right now, which means we are expecting the results to start coming in any moment, and they will come in fast and furious. We will update you as riding races are posted, adding up to who will form the province's next government. And tonight we have our team live at the main headquarters for the leaders. Mark McAllister is in Etobicoke with Doug Ford and the PCs.
Running the show.
All right, Brendan, thank you. And City News is calling a PC majority. Doug Ford has won his third consecutive majority in this province. No party has done that, by the way, in over 50 years. So, again, City News is calling a PC majority. Mark McAllister, we're checking in with you now at PC headquarters. What is the atmosphere like there?
The hoots and hollers, the party has begun. Now, obviously, they know at this point that the majority has been called, and as a result, the PC government is once again going to be in place. What does that mean?
PC majority, you're watching all the individual seats. What kind of upsets are you seeing?
Already, we are starting to see a lot of the colors are switching back and forth, back and forth. In Toronto, way more red than we expected. But again, these are very, very early polls. But if the Liberals really want to have a chance of even, getting official party status, they have to make some big inroads in the 905. We're not seeing this. Right now, this is all just blue. And what's more is that Mississauga, East Cooksville, that's where Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie is running. And I'm not finding it right now. Just give me 2 seconds. Oh, let me just hit that. Much better. She's trailing. She's trailing against the Tory candidate, Sylvia Gualtieri, by almost 1,000 votes. It's still early in, only 18 out of 64 polls reporting, but that's a fairly significant lead early into the game. Now, if we're taking a look here, this is the Etobicoke Lakeshore. Lee Fairclough, she ran last time for the Liberals, and she lost by only a few hundred votes. Christine Hogarth could actually be in trouble right now. That's a big jump. The Liberals have 3,000 votes, almost more, and still very early in. To 3,000 votes more, only 21 out of 71 polls reporting. It could be a very, very rough night for the Tories, at least in Etobicoke Lakeshore. But let's take a peek here. This is Toronto St. Paul's, and we said that Jill Andrew, the NDP candidate, she was seeking her third term. We said that this was going to be a tough race for her, and it looks like so early in that it is. You've got Stephanie Smythe, former broadcaster, already with well over 1,000 votes more. So maybe the Liberals.
Mark, thank you very much. So again, a PC majority for the next 4 years. Doug Ford's third consecutive majority. That is quite an accomplishment. However, Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie, Shanice, is not doing so well, may potentially lose her riding.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What happens next?
From my perspective, I hope history does not dictate here and we don't see the leader step down as we saw with Stephen Del Duca back in 2022. That will, of course, be up to, the party members. But Bonnie has taken good strides here. There are options for her down the line. She can then crisscross the province, keep building that Liberal support over the next couple years, look for a by-election opportunity.
Riding, maybe we'll pull it up and there you go. No, wrong one. One thing I did want to talk to you about, though, is the Liberals have more popular vote than the NDP. It's not translating into seats. John Wright, can you explain that to us?
Well, with that relationship on the strain, that unity threatened, Ontario will chart a course for its own future.
If they come, Trump's tariffs will devastate our economy, and they'll hit the bottom line of every household in Ontario.
And we need a government that's going to lead and going to build the homes that are permanently, deeply affordable that Ontarians need.
If you want a family doctor, we need to change the government.
We have to make sure that the government provides the mental health and addiction supports that people need.
Tonight, Ontario chooses a path. From the beaches of Lake Ontario to the ice on the Rideau Canal, from Niagara Falls to the shores of Hudson Bay, the people will decide. Starting right now, this is Ontario Votes. Good evening, I'm Dwight Drummond at the Canadian Broadcasting Centre in downtown Toronto. Here we are again, more than a year ahead of the next fixed Ontario vote. After the Premier called a snap winter election, in less than an hour, we will find out who Ontarians voted for. Will they give Doug Ford the mandate he's looking for to take on the tariff threat and a rare third majority? Will Marit Stiles' NDP finally bring her party to a breakthrough or be able to just hold on as the official opposition? Can former Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie bring back the Liberals from the political wilderness? And will the Green Party make a mark in rural Ontario? Polls will close in about an hour, and we will bring you results as soon as they come in. The countdown clock is on your screen. We've got a lot of ground to cover until then. Let's meet the team tonight. David Common will be going through the results for you, watching key ridings and close matches. He'll break down the path to victory for our government and our official opposition. Senior Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley is here to give his insight throughout the evening. And a very familiar face when it comes to covering politics, Rosemary Barton, CBC's chief political correspondent, is here, and she is joined by our panelists, Ashley Chinati, Vivek Prabhu, and Marion Nader, all here tonight. We've got the reporters in ridings around the province and at each of the party headquarters. We've got you covered. Lorenda Redekop is at the PC Party's campaign headquarters in the riding of Etobicoke North. Lane Harrison is standing by at the Liberal Party HQ in Mississauga. Dilma Nutduck is in downtown Toronto at the NDP base. And Farah Morelli joins us from Guelph at the headquarters for the Green Party.
Very soon. Dwight, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Rosie. We are just about 16 seconds away from polls closing. If you want to watch ASL interpretation of this show, you can find a stream on your YouTube page. Ontario Votes starts right now. 28 days in sub-zero temperatures, Ontario thrust into a rare winter election as hundreds of candidates knocked on doors to make their party's pitch for the future. A strong economy, affordability, healthcare, housing. Now, the pivotal moment. Facing threats from the White House and uncertainty in the nation's capital, tonight, Ontario votes. Good evening and welcome. We are live from the Canadian Broadcasting Centre in downtown Toronto. Most polls are now closed, and that means results will soon be flying in, and they will fly as votes in Ontario are counted by electronic tabulators. Our team ready to go. David Common is standing by, ready to bring you the latest results. He'll be covering all 124 ridings, identifying trends and uncovering any surprises as the night unfolds. A well-known face in our political coverage, Rosemary Barton, CBC's chief political correspondent, is here, and she's joined by our panelists, Ashley Chinati, Vivek Prabhu, and Marion Nader. Senior Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley beside me here. He'll help us make sense of all of this and shed some light on what is to come. Now, as the results come in, you will see those numbers at the bottom of your screen begin to change. As vote totals are reported, that bar will tell you how many seats each party is leading or elected in, projected to be elected in. Our decision desk is watching those numbers very closely and will project a winner in each of the ridings. And as soon as they have seen enough of the overall vote come in, we will make a projection about Ontario's next government. We promised that we'd be coming in, David, fast and furious, and you would have them for us, and we're keeping that promise.
Yeah, indeed, they are coming fast and furious. So you see the bottom of the screen there. Those are early results. We are not yet making a projection about the winner, but that could come quite quickly given how quickly the results are coming. So let's get right to those first results that we're seeing right now, and they're coming in from multiple areas of the province. We are going to start in Davenport. Marit Stiles, the NDP leader there with a significant lead. You do not yet see a check mark anywhere on this screen. The check mark is when we are projecting someone is elected, not seeing it there yet, but Marit Stiles with a comfortable lead in what should be a comfortable riding for the NDP. Whitby, small lead there, 156 for the PCs in what was Lorne Coe's riding before, 4 of the 63 polls reporting. Let's go next to...
Check in with you after. We have some breaking news for you right now. The CBC News Decision Desk has looked at all the numbers and they are ready to make a call. Ontario, the CBC is projecting a PC majority government, a rare three-peat, a feat not seen since back in 1959. Doug Ford said he needed a fresh mandate to deal with the economic threats to the Ontario economy, and Ontario voters have given it to him. Taking a look right now live at PC headquarters out in Ford Nation, Etobicoke. Big party expected there tonight. And Mike, as we look at these results and the call from our decision desk, no punishment for Doug Ford sending us to the polls early in the dead of winter. It appears this gamble is paying off.
Dwight, just how rare 3 majorities are. It's been 65 years since a party in Ontario was able to get 3 straight majorities. The CBC decision desk projecting that. Look, success in politics means winning elections, and by that measure, Doug Ford is now one of the most successful premiers in Ontario history. So, look, there's lots more to come tonight. Just how high is that seat count going to get? What's going to happen with that race for second place? There's some really interesting numbers going on there, too.
Now, how they pulled this off tonight, David?
Yeah, and it is a big event, an epic event for the PCs in Ontario. How did they actually pull it off? We're going to start by looking at the actual votes themselves. We call the share of the vote. Here's how we know. 37.6% is the historic floor of what it has taken in Ontario to make a majority government. The PC's well above that. And in fact, if you look at that, they have built 2 percentage points on where they were back in 2022. In the last election, the Liberals also building. They're at almost 30% there in terms of the share of the vote. And that is, about 6 percentage points higher than where they were. The NDP, though, are down. They're just at 17.8%. That puts them down about 6% from where they were. How does this translate into seats? Because that, of course, is the big question. Here we take a look right now. Liberals up 7 at this point. The NDP are down 4, the PC's down 3. Now, we're still at an early stage of the evening. Lots of drama still to come, but that is a tale right there about how the Liberals are succeeding in many areas. Let's dive right into some of the ridings themselves. And we're going to start in Thunder Bay, Atikokan. Okay, the star there beside Kevin Holland's name means he is the incumbent in this riding, has a very significant lead, 3,300 votes over top of the NDP, with about a third of the polls reporting. You see the 2,800 votes over his nearest competitor, the Liberal. And Dwight, that gives you a picture of how things are shaping up in Ontario right now, but lots more to come. Just because we're calling a government doesn't mean, we don't know who the official opposition will be yet. We don't yet know a whole bunch of things, and that is what we're paying attention to right now.
Busy night still ahead. Thank you for that, David. We'll be bringing you the results from your riding as the night goes on. And remember, you can watch that on the box, that bar at the bottom of your screen, where all of the results from the 124 ridings will cycle throughout the night. Rosie, tell us what you make of this moment for Ontario.
I mean, Mike talked about how this confirms Doug Ford's legacy as one of the most successful premiers in Ontario. It also confirms his legacy as one of the most successful politicians in the country right now, fighting against incumbency, which had taken out a number of other politicians over the course of the past.
In their races. We will start with Doug Ford out in Etobicoke North, if we can get that up to see how he's doing in that riding right now. And already projected to win there. He is up by, look at that, more than 6,000 votes. Doug Ford won by about 55% the last time out. He was expected to take Etobicoke North easily, and he is the victor there tonight. Let's see how Marit Stiles is doing down in Davenport, and there you go. Good news for them. She also has a sizable lead, almost 8,000 votes there in the downtown Toronto riding of Davenport, also an expected win. And look at that. The CBC desk is also projecting that Mike Schreiner will win his riding out there in Guelph. A sizable lead heading towards 12,000 right now. You know, they call him the conscience of Queen's Park, People Before Fairness. Now, this is very interesting. Look at this. Right now, Sylvia Galtieri is ahead of the Liberal leader out in Mississauga, East Cooksville. She needs a seat in the legislature. They have targeted this. The PC's targeted it to try to take her out. The Liberals targeted it because she's been mayor there for 10 years, Mike. She's very popular. She was an MP before in that. She's from Mississauga. That is her country. Right now, she is down in that riding.
So, Dwight, yeah, clearly a good night for Doug Ford, Marit Stiles, Mike.
Well, the polls have now closed and the results are imminent. This night could be history-making for the province. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Tracy Tom.
And I'm Anthony Robart. To our audience joining us on Global TV and 640 Toronto, this is Decision Ontario 2025, a Global News special presentation.
Well, let's start with the question that brought us to this moment. And actually, we're going to bring in our David Aiken first because some results, early results, are coming in. David, you see those numbers changing at the bottom of our screen.
Elections Ontario, you get a gold star. Results almost as the polls close. Well done. And let's take a look at the bottom, the results right now. Leading or elected, 3 New Democrats, 3 Liberals, 2 PCs, and 1 Green. And if you're a Liberal or New Democrat, you want to stop the merry-go-round right now. That's it. They don't want any more. It's not going to be like that all night. But let's take a quick look at what's going on. Dufferin-Caledon, the Deputy Premier Sylvia Jones, has a 16-vote lead. There's just 1 poll reporting. We expect Sylvia Jones to hold Dufferin-Caledon, and that she is doing that right now. Let's go back out a bit to so we can see what's going on. Take a look at that. There's your Parry Sound Muskoka. We were talking to Mike Schreiner earlier tonight about how he hopes Matt Richter can do it this time.
Interesting stuff. All right, David, thank you so much. And now we have to pause because we have some very important news and we are prepared to make a call.
All right, breaking news. Global News can now project that the Progressive Conservatives will form a majority government. This is historic in Ontario.
A three-peat for Mr. Doug Ford and the Progressive Conservatives. That has never been done. 3 consecutive majorities. Let's go to our Queen's Park Bureau Chief, Colin DeMello, who is at PC headquarters with the reaction. Colin, I don't know if you're there.
Well, there's been a lot of excitement in this crowd so far, seeing now that Doug Ford has been re-elected, not only
relatively early night. I remember last time in 2022, things wrapped up quickly. It was pretty much expected that they were going to win, and here they won another majority government. But the numbers continue to change. 75 for the PCs. They are hoping to get 83 at the very least, which is what they had at the last elections. They want a stronger mandate. They are looking, there you see the number just jumping to 76.
Right, and the NDP as well. You're looking at leading or elected in 24 at the moment. Here's a look at the popular vote. And you'll see that the PC Party of Ontario is at 44%. The Liberal Party
at almost 30%, and then the NDP in third at 17.9.
Sorry to cut you off. It's interesting as well because you look at 29, almost 30% for the situation going on in PC headquarters. All right, so let's do some big news certainly for NDP leader Marit Stiles. As you see, the seat count, 24 right now, leading. It's still relatively early, but big news for her personally.
That's right. Here in the riding of Davenport, Marit Stiles has been elected, so she's taking that riding, 53.7%, a huge lead over the Liberal candidate there.
And the other question mark, and Matthew brought this up, and I want to bring in David right now to look at how Bonnie Crombie is doing because she's trying to get this seat. It went blue last time, and it was an independent. Actually, I'm going to jump in. Do we have time for David? All right, we're going to bring in Karen right now for reaction to NDP leader Marit Stiles being re-elected in her riding and also just overall results. What's the feeling right there?
Okay, Karen, thank you so much for that. And let's take a look at Bonnie Crombie's riding right now. Liberal leader. Not looking great for her. This is Mississauga East Cooksville, of course, where she is trying to take the seat. She's running actually against the PC candidate who is the mother-in-law of
Patrick Brown, the mayor of Brampton.
Really interesting family story there.
So 1,600 vote lead right now for the PC candidate over the Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie. This is
Black Creek. That is one of a handful of ridings that will be staying open late, and we'll be getting the results, of course, late because of that as well.
And it didn't have any impact here at Etobicoke North. No surprise. PC leader Doug Ford winning this one handily, re-elected in that riding he's held since 2018.
Let's keep looking at leader ridings here. The leader of the Green Party in Guelph, Mike Schreiner, at 54.3% of the vote. He has been elected in that riding.
Let's go to Davenport in Toronto. Marit Stiles, NDP leader, winning this one. Sizable vote difference between her and the Liberal candidate. And in Mississauga East Cooksville, this one is a bit of a nail-biter. You have to assume that every Liberal supporter, especially those who want Bonnie Crombie to be premier, are certainly opposition leader, but may not even win.
Tonight, Ontario voters will decide on the future of our province. Live from the CHCH studios covering Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara. This is your home, your vote.
Good evening and welcome to Your Home, Your Vote, a special presentation of CHCH News. I'm Matt Ingram. It's 9 p.m., so the polls have now closed. The votes are in, and now it's down to the count. Tonight, we're going to bring you live coverage of the results as they come in, connect with our reporters in the field, and bring you analysis from our political panel. But before we go any further, let's talk about what's needed for a win. First, let's take a look at the seat count at Queen's Park. When this election was called, of the 124 seats in the Ontario legislature, Doug Ford's PCs held 79, the NDP had 28, the Liberals had just 9, the Green Party 2, and there were 6 independents, some of whom are from our area. We should also note that 12 seats is the number required for official party status. Now, also keep in mind that the magic number of seats to form a majority government is 63. So that is the minimum amount the Ford government will need to secure to keep their majority at Queen's Park. Anything less means we are in minority territory. Now, while we wait for the results to come in, I'm going to explain to you how we'll be bringing them to you. I'm going to be here on the CHCH decision desk, bringing you the overall picture of tonight. But I won't be staying here. I'm going to get up, walk around the newsroom, and take you to some of our other team members who are covering this election in different ways for us, beginning with Emily Taylor. She is manning our key ridings desk, Emily.
Yeah, Matt will be watching all of our candidates and maps throughout the night, bringing our viewers all of the latest information and the results as they happen.
And speaking of those results, I want to talk about the very last poll that was taken before today, Election Day. It's an abacus poll, and it shows that the support for the PC party has actually increased, and now they're forecast to get a bigger share of the vote than they had in 2022. The poll showing the Tories have increased their lead by 4 points since February 15th. The Liberals have increased their support by 1%, while the NDP have lost 5 points, and the Greens are down 1.
Matt, that's right. We're just hearing also some polling stations have extended their hours, including 9. There are 9 in total, most of which are in the GTA. As the polling has long predicted, a look at what she said.
All right, we're going to get back to Manisa, but right now, CHCH News is declaring a PC majority government. Doug Ford and the PC party has won its 3rd term in office. Now, to get right into it, let's throw it over to Louis Bucko and the panel for their reaction to this 3rd PC majority government.
All right, Matt, thank you. Here on our colorful panel set tonight, where I have the privilege of speaking with our political analysts. And let's jump right in.
For us, Emily.
Yeah, Matt, we're starting to see some of the results come in. Of course, CHCH News is calling a PC majority government. Some of our ridings are still in flux. Some of them have been called. So we do have some very early results coming in. I want to take a look at the map of Hamilton here. So at the time of dissolution of our 5 Hamilton ridings, 3 of them were held by NDP MPPs. It's early result. We are seeing quite a bit of blue in Hamilton. Let's take a closer look at some of these ridings, though, starting in Hamilton Centre. That will be one to watch tonight. Incumbent Sarah Jama was elected with the New Democrats in 2023 in the by-election with 53% of the vote, but soon after was removed from caucus and sat as an independent. She's again running as an independent, but she's up against the new NDP challenger, family physician Robin Lennox. We have declared that she has been elected. She is holding the majority of the vote there, and that is those votes are still coming in throughout the evening. So looking to Hamilton East Stony Creek now, incumbent PC Neil Lumsden is poised to keep his seat. He's been at Queen's Park since 2022 after he flipped a traditionally NDP riding blue in that election. At dissolution, he was the Minister of Sport.
People who are really engaged in conversations about our democracy, because I think that's what we're seeing on Twitter, for example. Typically, that would be the first place that I went to find information in terms of what people were saying. But even there were just a few thousand posts in terms of what was happening tonight. I think all of this is actually due to the fact that what we have on social media, again, are these platforms that more and more are not good places to get news. We saw back in 2023, for example, that Meta, of course, blocked news entirely from Facebook and Instagram. And we know there are massive numbers of people here in Ontario, about 5 to 6 million people who use those platforms or did to get all their information. So I think what we're seeing again is sort of this layering on of people being so disengaged that some of these
Taylor, once again, who's keeping her eye on the key ridings in our region. Emily, you're looking at Halton right now for us, I believe.
Yeah, we're looking at some key interesting ridings, Matt. I actually want to start in Niagara, though, and just take a look at our overall map there. There was some talk about that area that has historically been NDP flipping blue. But of course, we are seeing all of our incumbents actually are keeping their positions going back to Queen's Park. We have these 3 main NDP ridings over Niagara, and of course Sam Osterhoff keeping Niagara West. Over in Hamilton, there has been a bit of a change-up. Some of our incumbents are keeping their spot. Of course, we have Neil Lumsden in Hamilton East Stony Creek, and over in the Hamilton Mountain, as Jason just said, that has actually flipped blue now. So that's a very interesting riding that we have been watching. As he had mentioned, not for 30 years have we seen a PC candidate take that Hamilton Mountain riding. There's one other Hamilton riding I want to go to. That's Hamilton West Ancaster Dundas. We can now say that incumbent Sandy Shaw is going back to Queen's Park. That riding had been flipping back and forth very closely between her and the PC candidate John Demick. All right, let's go over to Halton now, where we are still watching the Burlington riding closely. Right now, we are still seeing blue. That is the incumbent MPP Natalie Pierre, but we have not called that vote yet. They are
our viewers a recap of what they may have missed.
Yeah, Matt, many of our results are in at this point, and I actually want to take a deeper dive at that popular vote first and take a look at how that compares to some of the polling that we showed you right off the top. So that latest Abacus polling had predicted the PCs were going to be at 45% of the popular vote. We're now seeing in the actual popular vote data that we are collecting a 43% for the Progressive Conservatives. Similarly, the Liberals were predicted at 29%, and we're seeing 29.6%. So again, that polling very, very close to what we are seeing. The NDP were predicted at 16. They've actually surpassed that, hitting 18.7, and the Greens just shy of their predicted 5% at 4.9% at the popular popular vote there. So all of our numbers are quite close to what they originally were, and 3.7% for our other categories. So that includes independents, New Blue Party. All of our other parties are grouped into that other party. I want to take a look at some of our key ridings that we have been talking about throughout the evening, starting with Hamilton Centre. Now, this was a big question mark for a lot of us. Would Hamilton Centre stay orange, as it has been an NDP riding since it was created, or would it stay with the incumbent, Sarah Jama, who was an independent candidate? She had started the NDP. She was removed from caucus just a few months later and then ran again as an independent. We're now seeing Robin Lennox has been elected the NDP candidate with quite a sizable margin there.
Hi, everybody. We're delighted to have you with us for this special broadcast on Ontario's 44th General Election Night. We're going to set things up for you during our regular 8 to 9 p.m. time slot for the agenda. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, after the polls close, keep it here, because we really will have the most comprehensive coverage and analysis available tonight. From my On Poly co-host, John Michael McGrath. From Aaron Kelly, pollster extraordinaire, and lots of other special guests. We remind you, you can stay tuned to us even if you're on the move, on our live stream at TVO.org or on the Agenda's X account. If you feel like it, chime in on social media while you're there. Meantime, let's put some Election 44 into some context. Each election is different, although there are patterns that emerge throughout history. So let's go through the four major party leaders and see what's what. Up first, Doug Ford, leader of the Progressive Conservatives and Ontario's 26th Premier. His new government first got elected in 2018, pledging to bring radical, disruptive, populist change to Ontario, and that approach promptly put his polling numbers in the dumper. But the COVID pandemic gave Ford a chance to change the channel, and he did. And since then, he's been in first place in the polls nonstop. Ford took a risk in calling an early snap election in the middle of winter, the first wintertime election we've had in Ontario in 44 years. But if the polls are accurate, his bet that his government was best suited to tackle the Trump tariff threat will have paid off. Second, Marit Stiles, Ontario's NDP leader. She was official opposition leader in the legislature before dissolution. She was first elected as MPP for Davenport in 2018 and swept her riding in the 2022 election as well. After Andrea Horwath stepped down, she was acclaimed as the new NDP leader. No one wanted to run against her. This was Stiles' first province-wide election as leader, and despite running flat out, 3, 4, even 5 campaign events a day, it was a hard one to break through. Third, Bonnie Crombie and the Ontario Liberals. The Liberals are coming off their worst ever back-to-back election results, where they failed to achieve official party status in 2 consecutive elections. Crombie certainly ran to win, but if she can get her party back over 12 seats, which is official party status, or even into second place, which is the official opposition, the campaign will have been a partial success for her. The one big concern may be whether the leader can win a seat for herself. The 905 ridings in Halton, Peel, and York regions tend to vote as a bloc for one party. And that means Crombie will be trying to create a patch of red in what may otherwise be a broad swath of blue in that part of the 905. Fourth, Mike Schreiner, leader of the Ontario Greens. Schreiner was the only Green MPP in the House until 15 months ago, when the party won a by-election in Kitchener Centre with Aislinn Clancy. Tonight, the Greens want to hold that riding for what would be just their second general election seat ever. Finally, here's what the legislature looked like at dissolution, meaning when the Lieutenant Governor dissolved the House and drew up the writs in 124 ridings for this 44th general election. Seats at dissolution, 79 Progressive Conservatives, big majority government. The NDP is official opposition with 28. The Liberals, not official party status with only 9. 2 Greens, 6 independents. There was actually only 1 person elected as an independent, but 5 others got turfed from their caucuses, and that's why there are now 6. Let's now take a look at the percentage of support from that 2022 election. And this tells you a lot about how efficient the party's votes were. The PCs got not even 41% of the vote, but that was good for a big majority government. Look at the Liberal and NDP numbers. They're almost exactly the same. The Liberals, 23.9%, the NDP, 23.7%, but that was plenty to get the NDP into opposition and not good at all for the Liberals. The Greens down there at 6%. Unless I missed the mark, almost nothing seems to have moved the needle. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Do you want to, I guess you're allowed to now. Polly has been doing seat projections based on the total vote. Why don't we bring those up right now?
Sounds good.
Let's see what we got. Yep. Take us through it.
So PC majority government, we see at the minimum they're going to get a majority. Where the big race is going to be tonight is here. This is a statistical tie between the Liberals and the NDP. We have the Liberals slightly ahead because we see them ahead in the popular vote. But the NDP has better vote efficiency, just like in the last election. So this really is a statistical tie with, the median being 17-15, but with a wider spread for the Liberals. So tonight is going to be that important night to see if Bonnie Crombie can break through to official opposition. The Greens, we have them getting a minimum of 1, but up to 3. So they're running in 124 ridings. We see them potentially getting 3 tonight.
That is a fairly tight races in particular, at least what she thinks will be. Why don't you take us through those starting just across the road from us?
So this one is, I put it in here, it might not be a tight race. It's an interesting race because the NDP candidate dropped out in order. This is strategic voting on steroids in a way, when the candidate decides that you should do strategic voting. Not a big fan of strategic voting myself, but this, will those, as the candidate had hoped, will those votes go to boost up the Liberals? Because the candidate felt that putting those NDP votes to the Liberals will help them beat the PCs in this riding.
Remind everybody, you don't see a new Democratic candidate here because she dropped out just before the deadline.
Yes.
Like right on the razor's edge, so the NDP could not replace her. So there is no new Democrat option in this riding.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Liberals, if they don't win, the reason I put in here, if they don't win this, it's a really bad signal for the night, right? Because a lot of people are strategic voting. We can mention that. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But if this strategic vote did not work, so I think the Liberals will be probably watching this riding very closely.
Polly also is interested in Niagara Falls. How come?
Yeah, in Niagara Falls, so the PCs are sort of perpetually in second place here. So if the PCs, if they're, we're seeing a surge for Doug Ford, because they've been perpetually in second place, all the votes are changing now. Will this be, if they're going to break through an election, it probably should be in this one. So will they be able to...
For this, we'll check in with you as the evening goes on, okay?
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Aaron Kelly, Advanced Symbolics Inc. Let's come back over to the table here. Hey, partner.
Hello, sir.
How's it going?
Good, good. Just seeing that voting has been extended in, I believe, 9 polls. I imagine some of that is weather-related. Places, both in places like downtown Toronto and also in some ridings like Algoma, Manitoulin. So
here's where I jump in and say it is 9:14 Eastern Time, and based on the returns we have seen so far, we've seen enough. We are prepared at this moment to declare Doug Ford three-peats tonight. The Progressive Conservatives will win a 3rd consecutive majority government. Yet to be determined is the size of that majority government. We heard at the beginning of the evening some predictions. Polly was doing her own predictions that the Conservative majority tonight could be as high as 100 seats, even 105 seats. We are a long way from that right now. At the moment, and admittedly, this is only a very small percentage of the polls reporting so far, the Conservatives only have 75 seats. I say only. Look, a majority is a majority is a majority. But at the moment, the seat count is a long way from what people thought. Mind you, lots of seats still out there to hear from, so we'll see how things go over the course of the evening. Let's not lose the forest for the trees here. Doug Ford is the first premier in 66 years to win back-to-back majority governments. That's a hell of an historic achievement.
I think it's fair to say at this point that Doug Ford is really going to be one of the most consequential premiers, certainly of my lifetime. That list would include people like Mike Harris. I was a bit young for Bill Davis, but I did live through the last few years of the Davis premiership. But yeah, Doug Ford, 3 elections. lived through, he governed through COVID. He has had the opportunity.
Right now, in Mississauga, East Cooksville, the leader of the Liberal Party is fighting for her political life tonight. I spoke to people in the Liberal campaign this morning, and the Conservative campaign for that matter. They all acknowledged it was a 50-50 race and they were not sure how it was going to turn out. Let's keep in mind there are 34% of the polls reporting so far. It is way too early to call this seat, but let's simply say this was really battleground number one in the province of Ontario tonight. You had so many Liberals, no doubt, taking resources away from other ridings.
Bonsoir, ici Mathieu Nadon. Il est 20h30. Les bureaux de vote ferment dans 30 minutes en Ontario. La soirée électorale commence maintenant. Bienvenue à cette soirée des élections qui vous parvient en direct des studios de Radio-Canada à Toronto. Nous sommes diffusés en ce moment sur le web au radiocanada.ca et à la radio. Vous pouvez nous suivre également avec l'interprétation simultanée en langue des signes québécois. Vous allez voir un code QR apparaître au bas de votre écran à droite. Je vous invite à le scanner pour avoir la marche à suivre. C'est vraiment très, très simple. On va prendre la prochaine demi-heure ensemble pour faire le bilan de cette campagne électorale très particulière déclenchée 15 mois avant la date prévue, en plein hiver, par le premier ministre sortant de l'Ontario, Doug Ford. Il souhaite obtenir un 3e mandat à la tête de la province. On va faire une tournée des régions en attendant les résultats qui devraient nous arriver assez rapidement dès 21h, dès la fermeture de la plupart des bureaux de scrutin. Je vous présente l'équipe qui est avec moi à mes côtés en studio. Camille Gréroy, correspondante de Radio-Canada à Queen's Park, Geneviève Tellier, politologue à l'Université d'Ottawa, et Jean-Loup Doudard qui va s'occuper de notre tableau des résultats ce soir. Bonsoir à tous les trois.
Bonsoir.
Campagne électorale très particulière, je le disais, où Doug Ford a voulu faire campagne, lui, contre les tarifs de Donald Trump. On a les autres partis qui ont essayé de parler d'autres choses, notamment de la santé, qui a... Bonsoir, ici Mathieu Nadon. Il est 21h. Les bureaux de vote sont maintenant fermés en Ontario. La soirée électorale commence maintenant. C'est l'heure de découvrir le choix des électeurs. Bienvenue à cette émission spéciale qui vous parvient en direct des studios de Radio-Canada à Toronto. 11 millions d'Ontariens et d'Ontariennes étaient appelés aux urnes aujourd'hui pour choisir leur nouveau gouvernement. Ça s'est passé sous la neige, d'ailleurs, dans plusieurs régions de la province. Des élections anticipées déclenchées en plein hiver par le premier ministre sortant, Doug Ford. Doug Ford qui espère obtenir ce soir un 3e mandat majoritaire de la population pour affronter les menaces de Donald Trump. Et ce serait vraiment tout un exploit s'il y arrive. 3 gouvernements majoritaires consécutifs, ça s'est pas vu depuis les années 50 en Ontario. Est-ce qu'il va remporter son pari? Les premiers résultats devraient nous parvenir au cours des prochaines minutes. On a bien hâte de les découvrir au même moment que vous. Quelques bureaux de scrutin vont rester ouverts plus tard. Ce soir, on parle maintenant de 7 circonscriptions sur les 124 de la province, si bien qu'on aura les résultats un peu plus tard à ces endroits-là, après 21h30, après 22h dans certains endroits. Un mot pour vous dire que cette soirée électorale est diffusée à la télé, sur le web, à la radio et avec l'interprétation simultanée en langue des signes québécoise. Il y a un petit code QR que vous allez voir au bas de l'écran. Je vous invite à le télécharger. Ça va vous donner la marche à suivre. Également, au bas de l'écran, vous allez voir tout au long de la soirée un décompte des candidats en avance pour certains partis. Vous voyez que ça défile extrêmement rapidement avec le vote par anticipation et le dépouillement électronique en Ontario. On a déjà des premiers résultats pour vous. Bienvenue, on s'en va dans la région de la chef du NPD d'ailleurs. Jean-Loup, excusez-moi, Jean-Loup.
Oui, la chef Marit Stiles, qui est la chef du nouveau Parti démocratique, mince avance devant son plus proche adversaire, le libéral à Davenport. C'est une circonscription plutôt néo-démocrate, Mme Stiles, qui brigue un 3e mandat au centre-ville de Toronto.
D'autres résultats. Bon, une ministre sortante du gouvernement de Doug Ford.
Oui, la vice-première ministre, ministre de la Santé, Sylvia Jones, à Dufferin-Caledon, à l'extérieur de Toronto. Madame Jones, qui brigue un 6e mandat avec un bureau de vote dépouillé. Elle a une mince avance, une avance de 16 voix, mais une avance tout de même.
Et on poursuit notre tournée Oakville. On est dans la grande région de Toronto.
Oui, la candidate libérale Alice Graydon-Smith.
Et là, ça va tellement vite que je n'ai pas eu la chance de vous présenter notre belle équipe avec moi en studio. Camille Gréroy, qui est correspondante de Radio-Canada à Queen's Park, Geneviève Tellier, politologue à l'Université d'Ottawa, et Jean-Loup Doudard, que j'ai débaptisé. Bonsoir, Jean-Loup, qui va s'occuper de notre carte électorale. Il y a déjà des chiffres qui commencent à défiler. On va en voir beaucoup ce soir, Jean-Loup, mais il y en a un en particulier qu'il faut retenir.
Le chiffre à retenir, 63. Mathieu, c'est le nombre de sièges nécessaires pour former un gouvernement majoritaire à l'Assemblée législative de l'Ontario. Tous les partis vont tenter de franchir cette barre magique au cours de la soirée.
Oui, Geneviève et Camille, qu'est-ce que vous allez surveiller particulièrement ce soir? Ça va se jouer où?
Monsieur Ford a demandé aux Ontariens de lui accorder un mandat fort. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire un mandat fort? Il avait déjà une importante majorité à Queen's Park avant ces élections. Donc, est-ce qu'il est capable de retourner en Chambre avec un plus grand nombre de députés encore et sur...
Merci beaucoup, Jérémy Bergeron, chez les libéraux ce soir. À 21h09, Radio-Canada prévoit, si la tendance se maintient, que le prochain gouvernement en Ontario sera formé par le Parti progressiste conservateur et que ce sera un gouvernement majoritaire. Je répète, Radio-Canada prévoit, si la tendance se maintient, que le prochain gouvernement en Ontario sera formé par le Parti progressiste conservateur de Doug Ford et ce sera un gouvernement majoritaire. Pari réussi donc pour Doug Ford qui obtient un 3e mandat majoritaire comme premier ministre de l'Ontario. Ça, c'est du jamais vu depuis les années 50. Vous voyez les images en direct du rassemblement où c'est pour l'instant plutôt tranquille, je dois vous dire. C'est pas nécessairement une surprise de voir ce résultat. Les partisans vont arriver au cours des prochaines minutes et le premier ministre réélu également qui va pouvoir leur adresser la parole et parler aussi aux Ontariens et Ontariennes. Regardons le classement au moment où on se parle. On a des résultats dans la plupart des 124 circonscriptions. En fait, dans toutes les circonscriptions, mis à part les 7 où les bureaux de vote vont fermer un peu plus tard. 22 élus, 55 candidats en tête pour un total de 77 chez les conservateurs. 22 pour le NPD, tous des candidats en tête, aucun élu chez les libéraux, 15 candidats en tête, un élu au Parti vert et une candidate en tête. Et voici ce qui nous permet de vous confirmer cette majorité, ce gouvernement majoritaire. Les conservateurs qui ont maintenant dépassé facilement le chiffre de 63 requis pour former un gouvernement majoritaire. Ça, c'est le suffrage exprimé. Les gens qui sont allés voter aujourd'hui, évidemment, on n'a pas tout dépouillé les votes encore, mais ça donne peut-être une bonne indication. 44 pour les conservateurs, 30 des gens ont voté pour le Parti libéral, 18 pour le NPD et 5 pour le Parti vert. Et voici une autre raison de se réjouir pour les conservateurs. Doug Ford, réélu dans sa circonscription d'Etobicoke-Nord qu'il représente depuis 2018. Donc, M. Ford qui a fait son entrée à la fois comme premier ministre et comme député au même moment par une écrasante majorité. C'est à peu près du 2-1 en termes de vote, lui, par rapport à la candidate libérale. Alors, pas une surprise non plus, mais M. Ford, pour l'instant, sa victoire est totale. Des nouvelles de la chef du NPD, Marit Stiles, qui, elle aussi, réélue dans la circonscription de Davenport. Marit Stiles, Jean-Loup, qui est député aussi depuis 2018.
Oui, et qui est la chef acclamée, il faut le dire, depuis 2 ans du nouveau Parti démocratique. Il n'était pas vraiment menacé dans sa circonscription, vraiment du centre-ville de Toronto, qui est plutôt néo-démocrate. Madame Stiles, qui le remporte avec une large avance de plus de 5000 voix sur son plus proche adversaire.
Un autre chef réélu, Mike Schreiner du Parti vert, qui lui aussi obtient un 3e mandat à la tête de son parti.
Et c'est une page d'histoire verte qui vient de se tourner en Ontario. Mathieu, c'est la première fois qu'un député vert remporte un 3e mandat. Un peu dans cette carte, justement. Vous voyez, dans le nord de l'Ontario, le nord de la province demeure pour l'instant néo-démocrate. Si je vous montre par rapport aux élections de 2022, on ne voit pas énormément de changements. Si on regarde ailleurs en province, dans le Grand Toronto notamment, pour les résultats de cette année, années. Vous voyez, les conservateurs parviennent à garder leurs acquis dans cette grande région de Toronto. Ailleurs, dans la province un peu plus au sud, dans la péninsule de Niagara, vous voyez les conservateurs qui arrivent à faire des gains dans la région de Hamilton. C'est cette petite ville ici qui était autrefois entièrement orange, néo-démocrate. On voit les conservateurs qui arrivent à faire des gains pour le moment dans cette région. Et finalement, un peu de passage dans le sud-ouest de la province. Mathieu, vous voyez encore une fois une domination progressiste conservatrice dans cette région. On a quelques résultats à vous montrer maintenant du côté du cabinet de M. Ford, à commencer par Caroline Mulroney, la ministre des Affaires francophones, facilement réélue avec plus de 10 000 voix d'avance, imaginez-vous, dans son comté de York-Simcoe. Un troisième mandat pour Mme Mulroney.
Oui, on se déplace à Timmins, dans le nord de la province. L'ex-maire qui est maintenant député conservateur et qui est réélu.
Remporte.
Et petite page d'histoire qui s'écrit dans cette soirée électorale. Bon, je vous parlais du troisième mandat majoritaire consécutif de Doug Ford. C'en est une page d'histoire. En voici une autre. Une députée indépendante réélue, Bobby Ann Brady, dans Alderman Norfolk. Regardez l'avance, Jean-Loup, c'est assez impressionnant.
Écoutez, plus de 13 000 voix d'avance devant sa plus proche rivale, la populaire mairesse du comté de Norfolk.
Well, the Ontario polls have officially closed. Ontario went for an election this year, and it was an early election, as we know. I'm Sam LaPrade. I'm joined tonight to hear all about the Ontario results with the one and only Jennifer Stewart. She is the president of Syntax Strategic, CEO of Syntax Strategic. Nice to have you here.
Glad to be here.
And of course, Su Ling Ching is here, the one and only as well, from the Ottawa Board of Trade, president and CEO. Thanks so much for being here today.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
This is an election we weren't expecting. Many people certainly didn't think that in 2025 we would be having a provincial election. We knew that a federal one was in the cards. This one was called very early in January. Tell me what you think about us going to the polls this early in the year.
Well, I think from a political perspective, it's really strategic. Look, typically an election, it wasn't media coverage about the opposition. It was media coverage about who is actually going to engage with Trump, who's going to negotiate, and then what will be the economic impacts on us as a province. Because we have so much at stake here with our auto sector, our tech sector. The tariff threat is real. And to Su Ling's point, whether they're introduced or not, even just the market anticipation of tariffs has a significant impact on our economy.
For sure. We are starting to see results already. Polls, of course, closed at 9 o'clock.
This is what our vision is. And Ford has demonstrated that he appreciates, over the last couple of years, Ottawa more as an economic driver in Ontario. And so we look forward to seeing those things play out and then continuing to grow that relationship. Because to Jen's point, I mean, we really have to count on the municipality in order to make the housing changes that we need, but the municipality cannot afford to do it without a fair formula from the province as well.
We're seeing some of the results come in right now. We're seeing the incumbent John Fraser in Ottawa South. He has
one is seeing in their communities and is very concerned about and escalating without a clear solution. And so what we really need is for governments to work together at every level, and specifically with some leadership from our provincial government to address that.
It's going to be really interesting. Anything to add?
Just that I think, you know, a lot stems from healthcare. The economic well-being of our community stems from the health.